smoking will be totally prohibited in all closed public spaces, as now it is only in public institution spaces. The journalist interviewing her, you know, he hardly could believe that this could be that radical, and it could have been heard in the way he was asking questions about this. What I'm saying it, because it shows that there is an energy to introduce changes, really. And for me, this is a kind of déjà vu. When we introduced this total prohibition in Poland, a lot of people were shocked. What life would look like now after this drastic measure. But you know, weeks or months after, nobody really missed the previous environment. And after, you know, almost immediately, it became like an obsolete, you know, custom, and almost nobody, as I said, was capable of understanding why we didn't introduce this much earlier. So Romania should have introduced this measure perhaps 10 years ago, but it's very good that it now has a chance to happen, because, well, first of all, I'm egoistically interested because this is really terrible, this smoking in restaurants, and for many reasons, including the, you know, if we use this kind of equipment like suits, it takes this flavor and so on. But this is egoistically. It shows a new mentality, or it shows this mentality for change, that we start thinking in a new way, and I think that this is really a very good sign. Two good news. This one regarding smoking this morning, and yesterday what the government announced, that they want to introduce zero taxation on dividend. Wonderful measure, not painful for the budget, may be a trigger of massive interest of people in you know, in investment, turning people from being simply consumers to investors. And I will share also with you that you know, when I was asked by one of Romanian journalists for my comment about this measure, which has just been announced by the government, this zero tax on dividend, it was already published on the, I mean, as a news that Romania introduces such a measure. It was already published on an online edition of one of the Polish economic, you know, daily newspapers. With consequences which are very easy to predict, that Romania will really be regarded as a country which is friendly for business. But now it is extremely important not to disappoint these people, because this momentum which Romania now has is very unique. If this momentum is not intelligently used, then I would rather cease to be optimistic. Thank you.
Thank you. My conclusion is that you are a very passionate smoker, probably. Quick question, a serious one. Do you see more IPOs in Romania in the coming years? How do you see that trend, companies raising more financing, expansion, and so forth?
It has two sections. One is related to privatization. So we need these assets arriving to the market, and privatization, when it is conducted through the capital market, through the stock exchange, it has this paramount effect which other types of privatization transactions cannot convey, that it increases or improves the perception of the country and increases the flows of capital, portfolio capital, or FDIs. Again, very, I would say, worrisome what was said about the level of FDIs and generally the inflows and outflows. And second chapter relates to private entrepreneurs or private businesses. And yes, I think that it was a bad cliché that we do not have private entrepreneurs that could think about the capital market as a source of financing and that the presence on the market would be beneficial for them. I hope we are now observing the turnaround, and a lot of people are now supporting this turnaround. To give you, a micro example, we are now about to launch a market for small companies called Aero, and in the frame of these preparations, we started organizing. We call it Investors Days. So we invite people to our premises, and we invite entrepreneurs. Very, very interesting, innovative businesses. We had 6 or 7 companies last week. We had 7 companies yesterday. We have another 30 or so in the pipeline ready to make their presentations to this public. And this public already includes investors, great companies, and even more. They were positively shocked. Everybody was positively shocked by the level of questions asked coming out from the audience. Extremely professional questions, very penetrating, very really, addressing something that may be of interest for investors. So, sometimes what is really important, and it already exists, is not that much visible for our eyes. If we don't create instruments that allow these phenomena to reveal, to show up. And this is probably a kind of small recipe that could be used not only for the capital market, but also for other domain of our life here.
Thank you. I'd like to turn to Marius just for some opening comments and thoughts on where Romania is going, and of course also from the perspective of your company, Franklin Templeton Investments.
Sure, thank you. As Franklin Templeton, we manage here in Romania Fondul Proprietatea, which is actually one of the largest closed-end funds in the world. Right now, we have 2.9 billion euros in assets of the fund. We have 50 plus companies, and 90% of the portfolio of the fund is in the energy sector. We also have 40% of the portfolio in state-owned companies. And our focus since starting the mandate to manage the fund has really been to maximize return and create value for the fund's shareholders. And in addition, of course, to clear corporate actions like share buybacks, cash distributions of a yield of 6% on an annual basis to the fund shareholders, as well as doing a secondary listing of the fund in London later this year, in the second quarter of this year, in order to really attract more investors. We've done a lot of work with the fund's portfolio, focusing, of course, on corporate governance, on improving the efficiency and profitability of the state-owned companies. We have 21 of them in our portfolio. And I think the implementation of the corporate governance code, which was mentioned earlier in the SOEs, has been a step in the right direction, but there is a lot more to be done. In Romania, state-owned companies are still a significant part of the economy, and the process of improving the efficiency and the profitability must continue, and there is still a lot of room for improvements. Of course, for us, bringing in professional managers, independent board members, as well as listing some of our portfolio companies has been a key issue. We've been successful in bringing 2 companies to the market, working with the Romanian government, Romgaz and Electrica. And I will focus first on the capital market development. For the fund, in order for it to be a success, really the Romanian capital market must develop, and there is a clear opportunity here. The local pension funds and the mutual funds will see inflows of approximately 1.5 billion euros this year in their assets. And this money can be invested locally. Unfortunately, there are no IPOs that are scheduled for this year, although we are trying to push hard for some of our companies like the Bucharest Airport, the Constanța Port, and Salrom, the salt mines. These are prime candidates to be brought to the market. There is no guarantee that this will happen this year. And pension funds and Romanian mutual funds may be forced to invest this money outside of Romania and help strengthen the GDP growth of other countries. In terms of the local GDP, I mean, we think that we share the optimistic view that Romania can at least grow by 2.9% and can even exceed that. But 2 things are needed: an increase in the EU funds absorption and, of course, higher government spending, which was mentioned. Further, we see the investments that 2 of our companies are focusing on, OMV Petrom and Romgaz, the investments in the Black Sea for offshore gas exploration. That can be, those investments are significant and can really stimulate economic growth even further in Romania. But of course, in order for this to continue and for private investments to be incentivized, we need in Romania a predictable, stable and sustainable fiscal environment. And issues like the infrastructure tax, which was introduced shortly after NuclearElectrica was listed on the stock exchange without any visibility for those investors that bought the shares in NuclearElectrica, or issues like reducing the regulated rate of return for distribution companies shortly after Electrica was listed on the Bucharest Stock Exchange. Those issues have to be avoided, and fiscal predictability will be a key issue for private investments. At the same time, if external shocks or if any risks in the EU materialize, this can be easily counteracted if Romania will continue the agreement with the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank after September 2015. Otherwise, the cost of funding, which Ionuț mentioned that is very low, can go up quickly after September 2015, when the current agreement with the IMF expires. Otherwise, I mean, we share all the bullish view on Romania. We think that there is a lot of opportunity here. I can tell you that when we started marketing the fund to foreign institutional investors outside of Romania back in 2011, shortly after we listed the fund, we were surprised at how bad the perception of the country was. I think the work that's been done has been very good. We've also managed to attract a lot of foreign institutional investors in the fund. They've invested 1.3 billion euros, which is by far the largest single foreign investment that has been done in Romania. And we've brought a lot of them here. And all of them have said that the perception is worse than the reality on the ground. And I think that's a very important thing.
Thank you, Marius. And Franklin Templeton runs so many funds around the world. How does Romania feature internally in terms of its importance relative to other parts of the world and so on?
Romania has a lot of visibility within our organization. Very few people know this. I mean, we manage $900 billion around the world in fixed income and also equity. And when we won the mandate to manage Fondul Proprietatea, this was one of the largest single mandates that was ever won by the organization. And as a result, I mean, we're very committed to Romania. We have one of the biggest emerging market offices around the world that is located here in Bucharest. And outside of managing Fondul, we've also invested more than $200 million in Romanian equities. Unfortunately, we cannot invest in the fund, which my colleagues that manage other funds are upset because they missed some very good potential performance. But we get a lot of support from the entire organization with this specific mandate.
Thank you. I'd like to go back, before we move to the energy issue, go back to Bogdan quickly. Bogdan, in terms of, we heard some comments on foreign direct investment and also about EU funding, and you're dealing with so many large companies that are coming into the country and so on. Do you see the pipeline of foreign direct investment in manufacturing or shared services or whatever it is increasing? How do you see those FDI trends in terms of your advisory business with companies? And also, I'm guessing you must be involved one way or the other with certain EU funding initiatives and projects for your clients. Do you see that improving? Because we heard some numbers that were not so encouraging, which, by the way, they are not that great in Eastern Europe in generally speaking, and it takes time to absorb funds. It's never easy. But how do you see those two issues developing in the coming few years? And what's crossing your desk in a way at the moment?
So in terms of FDI, I don't think there are significantly good news, and Ionuț already mentioned it. So the figures are hard figures, and FDI was one of the weakest links in the last years. And hopefully, things will improve. If the also tax regime maybe will be more stable, most probably there will be more incentive. I am cautiously optimistic about FDI, but I do not see any major surprise in FY15 for good. In terms of EU funding, we have struggled a lot, and we continue to do so. But I see some positive developments in terms of institutional capacity. So I would expect that the absorption rate will increase. And hopefully, under the new EU programming period, we'll see much more EU funds effectively reaching Romania.
Thank you. And Catalin, just a question on these IMF talks. The IMF delegation was here. There were all kinds of discussions. Where do you see this is going? And is it really that important in the end for Romania to have a deal or not? Because it doesn't seem like it's so necessary at the moment, at least.
I actually wouldn't want to speak on behalf of the IMF as I represent a different institution, but I think that if you look back, clearly this stable relationship with the IFI since 2009, I think has yielded substantial positive results, at least on the macro front. So I think Romania looks very good from a macro perspective, at least looking into the European context and in the regional political and economic context. But I think that the important challenge now is to move gradually the agenda from macro stabilization towards enhancing long-term economic growth. And I think some kind of relationship with the IFIs there would help, because I think there is a bit of expertise there. So like we've been supporting structural reforms in many areas in the world. And I think at least when it comes to the to the functioning of the public sector, we have a bit of expertise which we can contribute to it. So hopefully we'll find the kind of relationship which would be stable over the medium term. Not necessarily the same kind of relationship as in the past, like a precautionary agreement, but there are multiple instruments that can be used by the government.
Thank you. We started about 10-15 minutes late, so it doesn't matter if we steal a few minutes from the coffee break. And we are coming to the third subtopic of this morning panel, which is the energy. revolution or evolution, whatever you want to call it. And I'd like to turn to Daniela now to say a few words about this and set the scene for any also further comments from the rest of the panel. And then we will leave the last few minutes for any pressing questions that you might have from the floor for anyone on the panel. And of course, you can catch our panelists during the break as well. But Daniela, please.
Thank you. I will start closer. Perfect. I have to start with something else. I disregard totally with you, Ludwik, that the news regarding smoking interdiction in public place, it's a good one,
Why?
Because I'm a heavy smoker. So that's not a good news. But I totally agree that it is a momentum we really have to pay attention and not to lose.
I suggest you discuss this in a break with boxing gloves.
No, but I have to say one sentence. Daniela, you will be happier. You will see. You will be happier when it is, yeah. I mean, even more happier than you are. Yeah.
Okay. So, after listening all of you, I was thinking, probably it happened to a lot of us to slightly adapt what we wanted to say. And what I try now, it is after all these discussions which somehow put Romania against other emerging countries, against other European countries, I would like, after having it carved out, somehow to really insert it back to Europe. Because why I do agree that it is a momentum, at least from the industry I'm in now, I think one of the beauties of this momentum is that Europe is changing, not just Romania, which makes, in fact, the transition we have to go through, from my perspective, much easier and much smoother if we just align and start linking, strengthening the links we do have with Europe. Why? Because, I think energy, it is obviously a forerunner. Wherever you are today, when you want to do something, you turn on the light, you turn on your computer. For this, you need electricity. And electricity started to have such a dramatic role because, due to that, we are talking about competitivity issues at European level, not just at the level of Romania. We are talking about a new energy market because there are problems here, because we start to tackle more and more the topic of security of supply and so on. So what's going on in energy at European level, it is a major change of paradigm. And I think Romania, it really has the potential to become a leader. A leader which, at the end of the day, if it really takes such a position, will support the transformation of the rest of the country and of the rest of the industries we are looking at. And why it happens like that? As I said, competitivity, affordability, security of supply are the topics of today. But also climate change, it is another topic. Education, it's a topic, and what I think it is happening now, it is that we see a totally different approach. We are changing the model, We have to start talking about systemic approaches. We have to somehow align the present welfare with long-term sustainability, with long-term projects. You know that one of the projects my company it is promoting is the one of building 2 new reactors. And one of the topics is the very heavy discussions, why do we need that? We don't need 2 new reactors because it is clear the consumption is decreasing and we have today energy which we can't export. So we don't have export, we don't have internal market today. Why should we need 2 new reactors? Why should we need another 1,400 megawatts on the system? And the answer is yes, today we don't. But if we keep looking at what's going on today totally and gracefully ignoring tomorrow and the long-term projects, probably tomorrow or in 10 years' time, the picture will be totally different. So going back to Romania, we have this possibility. You know, I keep telling that one of our main advantages that we have what a lot of other European countries do not have. We have naturally the possibility to have a balanced energy mix, which makes us which puts us in the position to be able to have affordable prices. Why? Because you have a balanced mix, which means that theoretically we shall be in the situation to attract more industrial companies, which will generate more welfare and so on and so on. Why it is like that? And why nuclear reactors? Because, as I said, beyond that, we have to face another reality, which is climate change. We do not like that the weather is changing. We do not like that we have floods. We don't like a lot of what is going on. And we have to understand that, yes, we have to pay attention and we have to invest into that. Romania can do that without significant investment. So in order to conclude, I think that we do have such a chance today, and what we need, it is just an improvement in policies and to change from short-term planning to long-term planning, and to enable investments in any of the forms which have been mentioned today. I will stop here.
Thank you so much. And I think what you're emphasizing in terms of long-term view on energy is very important, because we have seen over the years so many developing markets not making investments on time, and then suddenly facing significant power shortages and not being able to attract investment that is needed to grow economy and so forth. So it does make a lot of sense what you're saying, and in fact has been proven in practice around the world. Thank you so much, and please, you have a comment on this, Marius, as well.
Yeah, this is a very interesting topic, and of course one that we as shareholders in most of the energy companies in Romania look very closely at, give a lot of attention to, and we actually been working with A.T. Kearney and finalized a study last month on the Romanian energy sector and on the outlook until 2025. And the findings of this report are very, very interesting. And one finding that they had is that until 2025, there is very limited upside in demand for electricity in Romania. Another finding that they had is that the Romanian consumer already pays a higher price for electricity than its fair value. The number was roughly 24%. Now, on the investments in new capacities that are needed, their conclusion was that really no new investments are needed right now, and any large projects in the energy sector, given the current market framework and the current energy prices, will mean guarantees from the Romanian government and subsidies. And this electricity, which would be produced, would have to be exported, which in essence means that the Romanian consumer will have to pay for these subsidies. And why should the Romanian consumer subsidize the consumers in Hungary? Yeah. And also market coupling, this should make Romania a competitive net exporter, but at the same time it should phase out the inefficiencies in the sector.
I expect that you want to reply to this.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Obviously, you know that I need to reply, and I'd like to, again, make clear that your study is addressing a 10 years time horizon. When you talk about energy, 10 years, it's, believe me, not a long-term view. It's not a long-term approach. Even if you want to build solars, you would need few years from today in order to have them really connected to the system. When you are talking about nuclear, you are talking about 10 years from today, if today we really start a project. And we are talking about lifetimes from 30 to 60 to more than 60 years. So 10 years, I'm sorry, has no relevance for this industry, probably just for the consumption. But where I do agree is that you can't